I took the podcast on the road to the first robotics competition. This incredible organization brings together a vibrant community of kids ages 4 to 18, fostering their passion for science and technology through team-based robotics programming. Stay tuned as I talk with Barbara Gomez de Navarro, the regional director of Mexico at FIRST, and some of the participating teams on this episode of Forging the Future. Welcome to another episode of Forging the Future, and I'm here today with Barbara Gomez de Navarro, the regional director for Mexico at FIRST. Nice to see you, Barbara.
Nice to see you too, Chris. Thank you for being here.
How long have you been involved with FIRST now?
So my husband and I started FIRST in Mexico 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
January we turned 20, very happy, very excited, very proud.
That is an accomplishment.
It is.
And then how did you first get involved then 20 years ago?
So we have two amazing sons. Our older son is a wonderful guy, but he hated school when he was a youngster. He was a stereotypical, very popular kid, very athletic, hated school. And we were sort of in shock because Nacho and I are very nerdy. We're total nerds. We love school. So we couldn't believe that he hated school.
Where did this jock come from, right?
Where did this happen? What? Exactly. So anyways, the thing is that a friend of ours worked at Honeywell, and he said, get him into robotics. And we said, he doesn't even like to read, forget about robotics. Long story made short, we started up an FLL team in 2002.
First Lego League,
exactly. And the change in our son was black to white. It was impressive. In 6 weeks, we had another son. He came back and he said, you know, Mom, math is cool. Science is neat. I love reading. So he got inspired with learning. It's not school. He got inspired with learning. He finally wound up studying. He went to university at ITAM, studied economics, political science, and then he did his master's in finance. He now does cryptocurrency stuff. I don't understand all the things that he does there, but he's so thrilled with technology, with engineering, with math, technology at the end of the day.
That's fantastic.
And he kept on growing, so we added First Vex Challenge back then, which is now First Tech Challenge. And then he kept on growing and he wanted FRC, so we started the first FRC team, which was in 2007.
And that's the Robotics League.
And that's First Tech Challenges for 12 through 18 years old. And then First Robotics Competition is, the really big robots, cool pieces and components, hard software, everything. And you need an industrial mentor. So that's also kids 14 through 18. And that is, I will say, the crown jewel at FIRST is definitely, FRC. It's the program that you want all kids to graduate from. So it's an amazing
Tell me a little bit
experience.
about the program down in Mexico. How does it work exactly?
So, we started FLL in 2003. It was a challenge because this whole volunteering is not part of our culture. So I think one of the greatest accomplishments we have is developing a volunteer corps within Mexico, and they have not only have they followed us, but they've kept on going with us for 20 years. And the kids that have graduated from the program come back as mentors, as coaches, as volunteers, and now they're becoming sponsors. They're writing checks for teams. So that's a really cool thing, right?
Wow.
So we're very excited.
Well, that's a true ecosystem when it can come all the way back to the beginning
It's
again.
a true circle, so it's really good. And then First Tech Challenge, as we added teams and events, it's all thanks to the volunteers, the people who have believed in us. We have a wonderful strategic alliance with ITAM, with Tec de Monterrey, with Universidad Tec Milenio, with Universidad Panamericana, with a number of universities in Mexico that have come to the table and they have joined the movement. It's literally a movement now, and we're very, very happy.
I was really impressed with the students at Tec de Monterrey. I got an opportunity to tour their robotics lab, their engineering lab, and talk to the students that were building mini EV cars.
Yes.
Right? And we opened an office there, as you know. Thank you for your help with that. But even now, right, with all that progress, there's still a lot more to be done. I mean, what's the landscape right now for kids as far as getting into STEM?
So I think the challenge is developing more opportunities for more kids. So we have, as far as FIRST in Mexico, we have a very good working relationship with the government. Our governments, our federal governments, our administrations change over every 6 years. And the program speaks for itself. It is completely apolitical. So we've been able to work with left, right, central, and it's wonderful because it's a very clean, apolitical, straightforward program, and the benefits are so easy to see. So working with the Ministry of Economics, with the Ministry of Education, with the Ministry of State, they all come together and they say, oh, this is a good thing to support. So they help us reach more kids in public schools. We have a wonderful series of relationships with private enterprise, General Motors, Ford, Bosch, Daimler, Mabe, Grupo Val. Grupo Val is a huge group in Mexico. They own the largest silver mining operation. They have Peñoles, Peñoles, Fresnillo, Grupo Baluarte, and they mentor, sponsor a number of teams. They even sponsor and operate one of our first robotics competition regionals in La Laguna, in Torreon.
There's about 600 teams here. Any idea how many come from Mexico?
We have 22 teams here from
at
Mexico.
Championships.
At championship. 18 first robotics competition teams, 2 FLL and 2 first tech challenge teams.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's between FTC and FRC, we have 483 kids here. Very exciting. Very, very happy.
What was it like trying to get FIRST started back then? Was it a challenge? It was an entrepreneurship startup kind of story, I bet.
Exactly. I mean, it was challenging, but it was, it's so, I think Dean came in something that is right on point. He said, you can't buy passion. There is no checkbook big enough to buy passionate, committed people. And who is more passionate and committed than a parent? As a parent, you see something that is good for your children, and you see the potential it could be for other children, especially when you think of underserved kids. You have to do it. I mean, there is...
Do you see that as the impact with FIRST as it does serve? I think a lot of people think that these competitions are for the nerdy brainiacs that maybe don't need any extra help, right? Have you seen that impact in Mexico?
Yes, we've seen so many wonderful stories. We've seen, my husband and I personally coached the first, I'll say, the first 80 teams, the first FLL teams, 80 FLL teams in Mexico, because we had coached our kids FLL team, but we needed to look at it from the other side and get more people involved to be coaches and mentors and support the teachers, especially when you're talking about public school teachers who may have difficulties with the language. So we've seen stories of children who apparently were living in very complicated circumstances at home, that when you talk at them, they would shrug. They would immediately, it was very complicated, very delicate. And one of these girls, she blossomed into the head programmer. She was like a flower. So she bloomed. It was amazing. And to this day, she mentors FLL teams. She sponsors several of the FLL teams. She went on to university. She did her PhD at MIT. So those are the kinds of stories that you say, I mean, regardless if they go to university or not, but the life-changing stories on how it brings them around. We have stories of teams in Chihuahua, La Sierra Tarahumara. The Tarahumara, the Rarámuri people are very famous for being ultramarathoners. And Peñoles graciously and very generously sponsors and mentors teams in La Sierra Tarahumara, very remote mining communities. And you see those kids, how they come down. They had never left their community, let alone the country. They had never traveled beyond their community. So for them to literally travel almost 16 hours between a pickup and a bus to get to the Regional Laguna in Torreon, and then they made it to championship. Life-changing doesn't begin to describe it. And these kids come back year after year. The kids that go through first will stay in first probably for a lifetime, at least 89%. Let me put it that way.
I do see that. I mean,
Yes.
not only are the kids inspired where they see their mentors and a career path and a future for them that they might not have contemplated before,
Exactly.
but once they've gone through it, they want to give back and provide those same kind of opportunities to the kids. So it's
That's a key
very
part.
interesting to see.
They want to give back. They know the impact, the life-changing experience it was. And again, it doesn't matter if you're going to be in arts, you're going to be a musician, you know the impact this experience has, and they come back. They always come back. So it's a very powerful thing.
Is there anything else that you have as far as hoping for the future as it relates to getting kids interested in STEM?
Well, I think we need more volunteers.
Yeah.
And I'm very hopeful because we see all our kids that graduate from FTC, from First Tech Challenge and First Robotics Competition, we see them always wanting to remain a part of the community. We see them always being mentors or coaches or volunteers. And now they are outpacing us. The rate at which we're growing is being outpaced by the amount of volunteers. So that's good because they can open up new events, right?
Yeah.
So we're very happy, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
We need companies like SoftTech to join the circus.
So we're stepping up. We want to, that's for sure.
Thank
I mean,
you.
if someone wants to be a volunteer or a mentor for First, they just go to where? First.
So you can, if it's going to be here in the States, you just go online. There is a volunteer section and it guides you very easily to register. If you want to be a volunteer in Mexico, you have to first of all fill the registration process here. Then, you say, I want to be a volunteer. There's a drop-down menu. It says Mexico and the events.
Okay.
And we'll wait for you there. Looking forward to seeing you there next year.
Definitely. And you heard it here. We need more volunteers.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being on, Barbara. Very inspirational. Thanks for everything you've been doing.
Thank you, Chris. It's wonderful to have you in Mexico now.
And
Now, please show off your Mexican power.
Mexican power.
Move.
Yes. We're here today at the First World Championships, right? With Amira from the Fighting Unicorns, one of the first or few all-girl teams here. And you're from Hathaway Brown High School in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So, an all-girls team at First Robotics. How many teams are there that are all girls, do you know?
Only like around 10 teams.
10 total.
But there's only about 4 of us here at the World Championships.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
And how long have you been involved with First?
So this is my sophomore year of high school, so I've only been involved in 2 years, but I really became interested in First because I wanted to gain more mechanical and STEM engineering skills for my future.
Okay. And what is your role on the team?
Yeah, so I am the primary outreach and communications lead for the team.
Okay.
So I run all social media as well as plan outreach events to help within our community. So we go to a lot of places and promote the STEM education. I also am the safety captain at competitions as well as do mechanical fabrication and design work for the.
And so you've gone through a number of competitions to get here, right? So
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about
we
that.
went to 2 competitions, one in Cincinnati and one in Cleveland. We placed 5th at the Cincinnati and placed 4th at the Buckeye competition. And we are here today at Worlds because we won the Engineering Inspiration Award at the Buckeye Regional back in March for our work within the outreach within our community to really help promote STEM and help girls get more interested in STEM. And we really feel that this is our way to help the community and give back.
So it's actually working.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And then what do you want to do in the future?
Yeah, I really am passionate about engineering and STEM, and I feel that First is a way for me to really grow my passion of engineering. So I really am looking into aerospace engineering to major in college as well as promote a future in that in a career.
Mm-hmm. What would you say to someone maybe that hasn't participated or, any of the girls out there that might be interested in STEM?
Yeah, I think there's so many opportunities with robotics and with other STEM programs for really young girls. While it might be intimidating, that there is a support network out there and that you can become interested in STEM and become passionate about it because there is a place for you in STEM. I feel it's a lot of time intimidating, especially with the large amount of boys or different biases within the STEM fields. And I feel like there is really a place and there is a community like our team where you can really feel supported. And I think that's really just the most incredible thing, is to see more girls become interested in STEM and to lessen the gender gap within the STEM career.
And do you think this program helps prepare you for either college or work?
Yeah, this program prepares you in every single life skill. It prepares you. The building the robot is just to learn the STEM skills and to be in a fun, competitive environment, but to really you learn life skills, you learn communication skills, you learn teamwork skills. It's really about helping everyone build a community and learn all these skills that will help in your career and in your life.
Great. Well, Amira, thanks for coming on today and sharing your career path here, and also good luck today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I'm here today with Mahee from the Fighting Unicorns Team 2399.
Yes.
And you're from Hathaway Brown High School in Cleveland, Ohio. And you're on an all-girls team here at the first robotics competition.
Yes.
Right? So thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so how did you get involved with robotics? I mean, what brought you here?
So I actually was a part of the first FLL competition in middle school, and I did that for about like 3-ish years.
And that's the first robotics league?
Yeah, I think it's for like
Lego
ranges,
League,
Lego
right?
League.
Yeah.
It ranges from like 8-year-olds to like, I guess maybe 12-year-olds. It's for primarily for middle schoolers, and I did that for like a few seasons. It was basically using Legos to build robots, but now moving on to high school, I think I was ready to tackle on the challenges of building a bigger and better robot. So that's when I decided to join the FRC team through my own school.
Okay. Yeah, and these robots are big, right?
Yes.
I mean, so the Legos, very complicated Legos, by the way. I watched
Yeah.
some of them earlier today. But the larger robots weigh up to like 1,000 pounds or something, right?
Yes,
I mean,
like hundreds of
very
pounds.
heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so you've been involved for a number of years now.
Yes.
And then was anybody in particular that was mentoring you through those?
Yeah,
Questions?
so we have a series of mentors which range from like undergrads to graduate students, but to also STEM professionals in the field. Like for example, we have a programming mentor from NASA Glenn. We have an undergrad from CASE. We also have an alumni from FIRST and from our team who graduated and is now helping our team and supporting us.
And there's 35 girls on the team.
Yeah, approximately 35.
About that. And what is your role on the team?
So I am the communications and outreach secondary lead. So basically, I help help organize outreach events. I organize branding. I try to inspire others within the community, even if that includes going through various outreach events, such as like we had a Techlit Africa event where we try to promote STEM education to those who didn't have access in Africa. We go to basically any other event we can find and try to inspire others through our
And is that
projects.
just in Cleveland then, or you do further outreach than that?
So a lot of our outreach is through Ohio and the Cleveland area, but we have also tried to spread our impact internationally, and we will only continue to grow.
And you said Africa was one of those places?
Yes.
Yeah, and how did that get started?
So basically our programming mentor, the one from NASA, he has a lot of connections. He connected with us with a girl named Nelly Chaboy, who is the founder of Techlit Africa. She actually won CNN Hero of the Year.
Wow.
So it was really cool to work with her and to work with her kids. And over the summer, we're planning on having like a weekly camp to teach students about like basic programming skills.
And whereabouts in Africa is she located?
It's in Kenya.
Kenya?
Yes.
Okay. And then maybe tell me a little bit about what you're building.
Okay, so we have like a really simple robot, I would say. Basically, our intake is through our elevator mechanism. So it intakes cones and cubes, and then it basically uses its arm to like lift itself up and go ahead and score points. We can score in both the high level, low, and both cones and cubes, as I said.
So, and do cones give you more points than balls, or is it just where you place it?
It's where you place them.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to handle both two different types of shapes.
Yes.
Okay. And then they also move very fast.
Yes.
And is there just like a single driver, or?
Yes, there is a single driver. We have a drive train, which consists of like a driver, a drive coach, who kind of like guides the driver. We have an operator who operates like the robot, make sure all the logistics are like kind of figured out. So yeah, each team has a drive team. So
One difference about FIRST, I think, it's very collaborative in the
Yes.
competition.
Yes.
Right? How does that factor in when you're competing?
So basically, a lot of our match strategy and all of that is basically based off of collaboration. Like, we have to talk to teams each match in order to figure out like what they're good at, what they're we can try to cover for them. And because of that collaboration, I think that's what makes us a good alliance partner. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes us like a good team overall, because we have collaboration skills, which I think are really helpful.
Okay.
So.
And has this program helped you in your career path?
Yes, it definitely has. Like, starting from first Lego League, I've been really interested in like programming, because along with being an outreach and communication secondary lead, I'm also part of the programming sub-team. So I've gotten lots of valuable experience from there. Like, I didn't even know how to like write code in Java, but now I know like how to write classes, constructors, etc. Like, I can code autonomous routines, and I think that's like a really important skill I've gotten for my future. I've also learned how to like collaborate with other programming mentors and try to like problem solve and work through our challenges as well.
So you had to learn Java as part of the program, or how does that work?
I guess because we code in Java, I kind of had to learn Java in order to like know what we're doing. Mm-hmm. I also had a little bit of experience of Java before I joined the programming sub-team, but yeah, definitely.
Interesting. And then what do you want to do in the future?
I think I'm going to continue on this path. I'm going to become a software engineer.
Okay.
So I don't really know what company I want to work in yet, but something along those lines I think would be pretty cool.
Okay. Well, when you graduate, don't forget about SoftEd.
Yes.
Well, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for inviting
good luck
me.
Today.
Thank you.
We're here today with Christian from the Bionic Lizards team. It's a high school in Los Angeles. And this school is a recipient of the I Am Angel Foundation, which is a foundation by Will.i.am, right? Yep. It's bringing robotics to over 400 LA schools. So welcome to the show. Tell me a little bit about the program there at the high school and how you got involved.
So when I first came to my high school, Robert H. Lewis, I was there for a good 2 weeks. I was there for my credit recovery since I fell behind. And Dr. Holcomb, he's our coach. He's the leader of the robotics team alongside another teacher we have, Mr. Viggers. Dr. Holcomb walked up to me and he offered me if I wanted to join robotics, which I've always been interested, I guess you could say, but no teachers ever walked up to me, so I've never had that little push needed to join. So once he offered me, I did join, and we'd stay after every Thursday of the week. He was explaining the program to me. We were learning. There's a lot to learn. There's definitely a learning curve, even with a little bit of a pass in technology.
You actually came from a larger high school to this Los Angeles school. What's the name of the school?
The one I came from, or the one?
The one you started attending now?
Robert H. Lewis
High School.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a continuation school.
Yeah, it's a continuation school. We have approximately 80 students.
80 students.
Yes.
And why were you there?
I ended up at the continuation school due to poor attendance.
Okay.
Primarily during the pandemic, I didn't show up to any of my classes for a good semester, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to my school on a work permit, so when that got revoked, I was way behind and I had to end up going to a continuation school.
And this opportunity that you were offered at the new school, do you think that helped you with your attendance or your interest in school?
I'd say, yeah. I'd say it definitely changed the way you think about school in a sense, where you don't think about as you have to go, more like you get to go. Gives you something to look forward to, something to enjoy, because it's not like you're being forced to be there, like take notes or anything. It's just simply to learn, be there with the team, your friends, because you end up becoming like a little family, I guess you could say.
And what is your role on the team?
I had to do a lot with the design, and I'm also a driver, but I did do a little bit of programming as well because I have a past in programming. But those are my primary roles.
What kind of language do you use on the robot?
The robot uses JavaScript.
JavaScript?
Uses like a little bit more of a basic version of JavaScript.
And you knew a little bit about programming before?
Yeah, I had past experience, not with JavaScript, but with other programming languages, so I understood the concept.
And what did this foundation do to help you with this team?
Well,
the
foundation gave us the starting point, the base. So they gave us a starter kit from Rev, which came with a control hub, and whatever basics are needed to get a working robot driving around and being able to program and learn about it. And we took it upon ourselves after they covered the registration fee as well, the $250 registration fee. We took it upon ourselves to buy more parts from GoBuilda, Rev, and get the robot to the point where it's at today, alongside 3D printers.
Interesting. And then what are you building?
Well, when it comes to, we're building a lot of things. One of them obviously being the robot, but we also built a lot of bonds, building a lot of knowledge, I guess you could say. Because we all learned, not everyone on the team had a background with technology like I did, so a lot of them learned programming, a lot of them learned critical thinking, like, the first foundation wants people to learn. So there's definitely a lot of knowledge there. And when it comes to the robot, it's just building something maneuverable. We wanted to go for something agile, so something quick that can squeeze between rods and do the objective properly.
Do you think that this program is preparing you for either a career or maybe you're going to further your other education? And
I think it is. For me, I could say it secured my future, like what I'd like to do. Definitely confirmed what I want to do.
And what do you want to do?
I've always thought about going into a future with programming, computer science, in those areas, but I've never been 100% set on it. And I think this is definitely secured that after high school, which I graduate this year, I'll probably go towards that.
Oh, great. Well, you're almost there.
Right there, this June.
And so you would like to have a career in programming?
Yeah, in the computer science field.
Okay. Do you have a college in mind yet?
Not necessarily. I think I'm going to spend my first 2 years at a community college around LA, and then is when I'm going to move up.
All right. Are you planning to take advantage of any of the scholarship opportunities that FIRST is offering? Have you seen any of those?
If that's an opportunity I'll get, then most definitely. I feel like it'd 100% be a great idea too.
Besides the technology, what are you learning?
Well, it definitely helps with critical thinking, problem solving, because it's a lot of trial and error. So for our gripper, we went through 4 variations. For our whole robot, we went through maybe 3 variations. So it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of thinking.
Was that something new to you, like making mistakes and failing and then continuing?
I wouldn't necessarily say new, but it's definitely, when it's in that instance, there's a lot more mistakes to be made and a lot more to learn from. Because one can make mistakes once a week, but for this you can make 5 mistakes in a day. And it helps you learn a lot and makes you realize to not make them again.
Anything else you want to share about FIRST, or would you recommend this program for other students?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it could help a lot of students. I don't think it's just us or everyone here. It could definitely, a lot of people could benefit from it, most definitely.
Great. Well, thanks for being on the show. All right, we're here today with Eric from the Bionic Lizards team from Los Angeles, California. So LAUSD has 40,000 students, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
That is amazing. And so, but now you're at a smaller school of about 80?
Yes.
Okay. And you're on one of the robotics teams, and there was a sponsorship from the I Am Angel Foundation, which is a Will I Am Foundation, right, that's sponsoring the robotics team. How did you get started with the robotics team?
Well, I would say that my coach, Dr. Holcomb, also my teacher, my physics teacher, he really reached out to me because I was a really quiet kid. You know, when you go to a new school, you have no friends, right? It's brand new. You're just trying to get things done when you go to a continuation school. Try to catch up with your credits, all that sort of stuff. And Dr. Holcomb, he would just, I guess you could say, he would reach out to students and like, are you interested in this? And I was interested in robotics before, but no, in bigger schools, you know, teachers don't really reach out to you. They, like, let's say at a bigger school, you have to have like a 4.0 GPA. You have to, you know, be really good at math, be really good at science, physics, to even be accepted. But since it's a smaller school, you know, you don't have to be good at any of those things. You learn, you know? So
he reached out to you?
He reached out to me. He asked me, are you interested in robotics? And I said, yeah, right away. No hesitation, nothing. I said, yeah. He's like, oh, cool. Just come every Thursday, you know, after school. And you could participate in robotics. Learn what you need to learn, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how many kids are in the robotics program or team?
In total, there's about, there's about 11.
11?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what role do you have on the team?
My role specifically is driving and building.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And the building is actually like assembling the robot.
Yeah,
and
assembling the
figure out how to
robot,
do
you
it.
know, designing, or I guess you could say making prototypes, you know, writing a sketch, seeing how you want to build the robot, having ideas, brainstorming what we want to do with the robot, how we want to design it, all that stuff.
And has this program helped interest you more in school?
Of course, yes. This program helped me out a lot with life in general. If it wasn't for robotics, honestly, I think I would be thinking about working at like a fast food restaurant. you know, get my high school diploma, work, live off just things. But honestly, I think robotics has opened me to a lot of new things. Engineering, I guess you could say, just everything. Robotics helped me realize that I'm able to do anything I want. And it helped me realize that I'm able to do just anything, whatever I want, and however I want.
So before the program, it's definitely changed your outlook on what you feel you can accomplish as a person.
Yes, of
right?
course, yeah. I was really unmotivated because during the pandemic, I did not want to join my classes. I didn't want to do anything but sleep and play video games, I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't see myself anywhere in 5 years.
What's it been like working with the team and collaborating?
It's been really fun. When I first went to the school, like I said, I had no friends. I did have friends outside of school, but I just didn't talk to anyone. I was just quiet, just absolutely nothing. But when I joined the robotics team, I met really nice people. They're really nice, like friendly. I honestly consider them family, It's like a whole family in the robotics team. We care for each other. We watch out for each other, We ask what's wrong, how are you? It's all those simple questions these small questions that matter a whole lot,
And you're you graduating this year, or do you have another year left?
No, I do graduate this year,
you
sadly.
are?
Yeah.
And do you plan on continuing your education or going into STEM in some way, or
yes, I do.
next steps?
I do plan to continue in college.
Okay.
To go to college, and see what goes on from there.
Okay. And then anyone in particular that's mentored you on this journey?
Yes, honestly, it's not only Dr. Holcomb, my coach, it's honestly the whole school. Every single teacher, when it's a smaller school and a continuation school, you can create stronger bonds with your teacher. And honestly, every single person, my math teacher, Mr. Vigors, my physics teacher and my coach, science teacher as well, Dr. Holcomb, my social studies teacher, Ms. Aguirre, my English teacher, Mr. Austria, they all helped me come to this point, how I am.
And what would you tell someone that was maybe thinking about joining a program like this?
Join it. It's such a good opportunity. You'll learn so much. You really don't need to be, I guess you could say, smart, intelligent, have a 4.0 GPA. It's just really good for the experience.
Fantastic. Well, Eric, good luck on your adventure, and thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm here today with Juan Antonio from Devo or Phobos. Is that right?
Yes, Devolt
Okay.
Phobos.
I think I butchered that a little bit. But anyway, from Chihuahua, Mexico.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Thanks.
You're a senior in high school,
Yes.
right? And so tell me a little bit about the robotics culture in Mexico.
Okay, so when you talk about FIRST, like everyone in FIRST knows robotics, right? But when you talk about Mexico, not everyone knows neither FIRST nor robotics.
Okay.
Even when being in robotics, I got the opportunity to not only be in FIRST Tech Challenge, but to be in FIRST Robotics Competition. And even people from FIRST Robotics Competition didn't know FTC or FLL. Culture in STEAM in Mexico is not as good as it should be in the United States or in the rest of America or the world.
Okay.
So I think it's an area of opportunity for Mexico and for Latin America to reach to all these championships, to all these competitions, to reach STEAM, and with STEAM, better community,
Yeah.
at least in Mexico, yeah.
And how long have you been involved with FIRST now?
I've been involved for 3 years now,
3
but I
years.
started during pandemic. So it's quite a thing because actually I was involved since 6 years because of my brother. My brother is one of the persons that created my team. And I saw him get to hang out with his friends, saw him fun, being happy in high school. So I saw it and I said, I want to do the same. That's how I got to the team. And now I'm here and now I'm Worlds. And yeah, that's probably the magic.
Well, we've been impressed with the potential talent down in Latin America. We opened an office in Monterrey
Really?
last year. And I had an opportunity to tour the Tec de Monterrey campus. And the robotics lab there, actually. They call like all embedded engineering like robotics.
Yes.
But I was impressed with the students down there. So I agree with you. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and we just need to get the right messaging out and put and get some more awareness,
Yes.
right? So more students can join in the program. So you already told me a little bit about how you got involved, but did you have any mentors along the way?
I got a lot of mentors. Part of the magic of my team is that we have this following system in which the persons that my brother teaches at first, they are now teaching me. And I am now teaching the next coaches of next coaches of next coaches. So I got a lot of mentors. I really love them because more than mentors, they are my friends. And there are persons that are right now in college that are 1 year, 2 years older than me. So there are people who have lived all this, who can tell me about this, who can not only tell me how to do it, but can experience it with me. So I got a lot of mentors. Obviously mentioning my family, my parents, my brother. Because when talking about first, about traveling and all this kind of stuff, obviously your parents, your family is quite a necessity, it's quite a thing, they're the people who at last of the day are with you, who will help you to get here.
Yeah.
But mentors, there's a lot of mentors.
And how big of a town is Chihuahua, just for some idea?
So Chihuahua is pretty big. It's actually the biggest state in Mexico.
Okay.
The thing is that it's...
Oh, it's a state.
Yeah, it's a state. But what I say always is that Chihuahua is a big ranch, conformed of many small ranches.
Okay.
So there is a main city, obviously it's a good city, but it's not as modern as this kind of cities like Houston. And the thing is, you can see it in people. You can see infrastructure in the city. Okay, it's cool, but it's not as efficient as it should be. And people don't know as much, not as they should, but as they could know. So yeah, it's not townish, but there is, I'm not gonna say the word ignorance, but there is a very good opportunity in education, especially in STEAM education down there.
And speaking of it, you're an ambassador for your school, right? What does
Yes.
that mean, and which school do you go to?
Okay, I go to Universidad Tec Milenio, or Prepa Tec Milenio. And Tec Milenio basically has a lot of campuses all around Mexico. Each campus has the sets of ambassadors who basically are image of the school. We go to middle schools and speak with kids and tell them about our school, about what we're living. My kids in special, tell them about this. I'll tell them about first. I'll tell them about my.
Are you trying to get students to come to the school? I mean, is that something that you're trying to encourage? Or?
At certain point, you can say it is a marketing strategy, but then you have this inspiring strategy because you're not only bringing people to your school, you're actually changing lives. You're actually showing kids our world they didn't know. That's what I try to do.
Is school attendance a problem? I mean, you would need to encourage students to come to class.
Actually, it is.
Okay.
In Mexico, there is not much kids that get off of school, but there is a lot of kids that don't go to school. So, and the thing about this is that they do have the resources that just they don't want to, and telling them about this, showing them our experience and all that is happening here, and all the things they can do with our help, it's what motivates them. And
Through FIRST as a motivation, you mean? Like the robotics program and FIRST? And
last year, actually, I got the chance to be interviewed. And I say something that I don't know what I got it from. I just said I want to inspire the way I have been inspired. And I think that's something that actually gets to every kid each time I talk to them. To transmit all the things that have been transmitted to me. That's kind of cool.
You want to inspire the way you've been inspired.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good A good tagline. And tell me a little bit about your team. How many people are on the team?
Okay, so Devolt Phobos is one of the many teams of Devolt. Devolt it's a family. So we have 3 FTC teams, which is Devolt Series. That's a team conformed of only middle school kids. Then there's Devolt Demos and us, Devolt Phobos. Then in FLL we have 2 other teams, which are Devolt Vortex and Devolt Goa, which is the first all-girls team in FLL in our state, which is actually right now here at Worlds too.
Oh, great.
And then we just created this year our Devolt team, which is FRC team, which are also here at Houston right now.
Nice. And
Yeah.
they've made it through the different regional
Yeah.
programs, and now they're at the championship.
Yeah, we got all of them here, so that's great.
So what do you want to do in the future?
Okay, so thanks to all this first community, all this that has been happening, I got to meet colleges because RFID in Mexico, these cultural things exist, and most people don't even know there are colleges everywhere, and not that they are, but that they can apply and they can be there. So I got to meet MIT DOPI. I got accepted at DOPI.
Congrats.
And yes, I'm applying to architectural engineering. I think it's a pretty good combination between arts and engineering. And yes, what I'm trying to do is to get a good financial aid to get out there, and people like Dean came from there, and they have pretty good robotics program. So the thing is, even though I don't want to study robotics, I really want to get involved in this. So I think that's a good way and a good place to go and continue to get people involved in this, inspiring people to just making it bigger.
And you're also, have you applied to any of the scholarships that FIRST is offering through?
Yes, I applied to some scholarships.
Okay.
I got denied from some. I got some more, and I'm trying currently to get some more because I have to say I really need some more. And repeating, being as an international student, it's quite a challenge to find good financial aid, to find colleges in the rest of the world. So that's kind of the
Sounds like that's one more piece to work on. Is how
yeah,
do we
that's
get
one more piece to work on.
continue that opportunity for kids from FIRST. Like Dean says, FIRST offers the chance for every student to go pro, right?
Yep.
And meaning that they can graduate from FIRST and go into university or a career. So I think that's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. Very interesting to meet you, and good luck with the teams.
Oh, thank you, Chris. It's pretty great to meet you. Pretty great to meet you. So, thanks to you.
Sure.